Yo, what's up guys, it's ApTreX here. On my desk I have the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, which we'll be unboxing in our today's video and test out Nintendo Switch emulation on this massive Android tablet with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor and 12GB of RAM. This is the most powerful Android tablet currently in the market, and it is also one of the most expensive tablets ever created. Well, if this video reaches 250 likes, then we'll be also checking out the Windows emulation on this massive tablet which has an overclocked Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. Yeah, not 8 Gen 3 but an overclocked Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And I can't wait for the video because I want to really emulate GTA 5 on this massive 14.6 inch 2K display. Anyways, inside the box we get our tablet. We also get an S Pen, which unfortunately is not completely color matched. So if you buy a beige colored Samsung S9 Ultra, then you get a white S Pen which doesn't really match. Nonetheless, inside the box we also get few other things like the USB cable, and one thing which is super funny, the more money you spend, the less items you will get. You don't even get a power brick after buying 1 lakh rupees or almost $1,000 worth of tablet. Anyways, now's the most satisfying part of the unboxing, unpacking it from this plastic wrapper. And there we have it guys, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, and the beige color is pretty amazing, way better than the black color, and I have already set it up. As you might be able to see, Kakarot wallpaper, always gotta apply a live wallpaper no matter the phone. And I have to say this, just holding this tablet feels amazing. The materials, quality, everything is top notch. Okay, that was pretty satisfying. Let's not forget about the display. This 14.6 inch OLED 1440p display is pretty amazing. 2K resolution, obviously one of the best displays I have ever used on any smartphones, not even tablet. And it also has the AI features which is available in the Samsung S24 Ultra, like the circle to search. Anyways, that was it for the unboxing. Let's move on towards our next topic. Alright guys, let's get started with our today's Nintendo Switch emulation test on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 overclocked processor Android tablet. For today's video I have loaded two emulators, Sudachi as well as Skyline. To start off, we'll be going with this Sudachi emulator, and then I'll be showing you guys the best performing emulator. Now that we have completed the setup, let's tap on the done button, and as you guys will be able to see, the screen is so big that it can load almost 5 games at a time and still have leftover space for like 20 to 30 games. That is super crazy. Anyways, let's go to the settings option and apply the best settings, and as you will be able to see, the emulator just crashed. So I think that it has some compatibility issues with tablet. For today's video we'll also be using a graphics driver, but let's just go ahead and set the limit speed percentage to 400. Dock mode will be disabled. In terms of resolution, let it be 1x. VSync mode will make sure to turn it off. Other than that, aspect ratio will set it to 16:10 because this tablet comes with 16:10 aspect ratio. This shader cache has been enabled. Force maximum clocks and asynchronous shaders will also be enabled. Anyways, in terms of debug, CPU backend is native code execution, and once everything has been set, we are now all good to go. Let's add our graphics driver. We'll be using the latest Mesa Turnip Adreno driver revision 19 preview build, which is pretty amazing in terms of performance and stability. Anyways, let's start off by testing out today's first game, which is going to be Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I won't show you guys Sonic Mania gameplay because obviously it is going to be a waste of time. And let me just go ahead and exit emulation, because for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu you need to change the controls options. So go to controls, afterwards go to player 1, afterwards make sure to select handheld, and this time we should be able to choose our control. And immediately I am seeing some amazing FPS results at the top left corner of our screen, anywhere from 30 to 100 FPS, which is pretty amazing. And just take a look at how immersive this experience is, like literally emulating Nintendo Switch games on a huge 14.6 inch tablet. Also, here's our today's Google Play Store gift card redeem code giveaway, which I do regularly on my channel. If you also want to participate in this giveaway, then you need to be the first one to redeem this code. For that, make sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications. This Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 overclock processor is no joke. It performs better in terms of not overheating because of the huge area. It can disperse the heat very well. That's why it doesn't overheat. That's why it doesn't get thermal throttling issues, and hence it can maintain a stable performance during long periods of gameplay. Whereas even a device with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, it can start lagging after few minutes of gameplay. So that's the plus point of gaming on such a huge tablet. Let's wait until the game starts. There we go guys, our game has successfully started, and at the top left corner you will be able to see we are literally getting almost 120 FPS while emulating Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu on our Android device. And this is nothing guys, let's go to system settings, disable the limit speed percentage, and this time we should be getting even more FPS. Previously our FPS was capped at 120, and it looks like even if we disable limit speed percentage we will get the same amount of FPS, and I think that's because of the display refresh rate cap which is present. Obviously this is an 120Hz panel, so even if you are getting like 150 160 FPS, it won't be showcased at all. You will be able to only see 120Hz, but the game, obviously the speed percentage will increase, making the game much faster. Anyways, as you guys can see, we are now in outside world scenarios, and this game looks absolutely beautiful on such a huge screen. And I have to say, if you ever have a chance to get this tablet, then go for it. Like even the S9, S8 Ultra, they are just too amazing to pass out on. Obviously it is very expensive. Nonetheless, even in outside world scenario, we are seeing proper gameplay results with almost 40 FPS. And don't forget guys, 40 FPS is less. That's because Sudachi emulator is not that optimized compared to the Skyline Edge in terms of performance. So let's just go ahead and tap on exit emulation. The next game that we'll be testing out will be Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and afterwards we'll test out Pokemon Sword. Afterwards we'll test out all these three games once again inside the Skyline Edge emulator. And there we go, Nintendo presents The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Immediately, just like that, the game successfully started. No loading issues, nothing like that. Not a long waiting time or loading screen, so it's super fast. And as you will be able to see, even in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, with 1x graphics resolution, we are seeing almost 30 to 60 FPS. It differs depending on the circumstances, but we are getting at least a stable 30 FPS, which is not that bad, because even in normal Nintendo Switch there is an 30 FPS cap. So obviously getting 30 FPS on such a huge screen on an Android tablet is very amazing performance indeed. So yeah guys, this game works properly. As you might be able to see, even if we are controlling our character, it will run without any issues. And I'm sorry for the glaring screen. This is one problem of Samsung Tab Ultra compared to the iPad Pro. In 1TB version of new iPad Pro M4, you get matte screen, whereas the screen on these tablets are always very reflective. I had the previous Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, and yeah, I can assure you guys that. Anyways, let's move on towards the next game, which is going to be Pokemon Sword, and our final game. I won't waste your time testing out small games like Sonic Mania or games like One Piece, because they will 100% work properly, so there is no need to waste our time on that. Also guys, once this video reaches 250 likes, I'll be testing out Windows emulators on the same tablet and test out games like GTA 5 and much more. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification as I upload similar videos on my channel. And once again guys, this is very mind-blowing experience. Game is running at 50 to 60 FPS during this cutscene. Alright guys, the cutscene is now over and our game is about to begin. As you guys can see, inside house scenarios we are getting anywhere from 40 to 50 FPS, and this is expected. I have tested out Pokemon Sword on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor Android device inside Sudachi emulator, and I always get around 20 to 30 FPS in outside world scenarios, which is not impressive because inside Skyline emulator I used to get more than 100 FPS while emulating games on a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor Android device. So that's the main reason why we'll be testing these games out on Skyline as well, just to see the amazing performance. Well, I'm not really sure if Skyline emulator supports Android 14. There might be some crashing issues, so if there are, then I'm really sorry. But there we go, the game has successfully started and we are about to now enter the open world areas of Pokemon Sword, and we are getting stable 30 FPS, if you might be able to see at the top left corner of your screen. There are indeed some graphical issues which are present, and the FPS is between 25 to 30 FPS as expected. This emulator is not optimized for Pokemon Sword. So yeah, that's our today's conclusion for the Sudachi emulator test. Let's try these games out on the Skyline Edge version 69, the last build of Skyline emulator Android before it was discontinued. So let's scroll down, dock mode, let's disable this option. Aspect ratio, keep it to stretch to fit or device aspect ratio. Show performance statistics, and it's been a very long time since I last used the Skyline Nintendo Switch emulator, so it's like very nostalgic for me. Let's set this executor slot count scale to 6, and you can keep flush threshold as default. We'll also enable disable frame throttling option. Direct memory import should be turned off. Force maximum clocks, free guest texture memory, enable shader cache. Okay, fast GPU readback and writes will also be enabled. And yeah, let's add our graphics driver, and now we are all set to trying out Nintendo Switch games on the Skyline Edge version 69. Let's find out if these games work or not. I'm pretty sure that Legend of Zelda will not work, but just take a look at this guys. We are getting almost 200 to 300 FPS while emulating Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, but we are just seeing an black screen, which is normal. If you don't use an save file inside the Skyline emulator, you will see a black screen during the first cutscene. But as you guys can see, we are getting 400 plus FPS while emulating Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu inside this emulator. And just ignore the lines which you are seeing here. It's because of the camera. There is no problem with the device display. Alright guys, I have managed to import a save file inside Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. So let's quickly start our game and see how well does it actually work on this tablet. At the top left corner, you guys will be able to see we are getting more than 250 FPS while emulating Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. So that is crazy number of FPS inside the Skyline emulator. That's why I always like Skyline emulator. And even the graphics of this game, it is being emulated in the native resolution. So I think it's 1080p or 2K resolution, way more resolution compared to the Sudachi Nintendo Switch emulator. And as you will be able to see, even inside the outside world scenarios, we are getting almost 100 FPS while emulating this game. But unfortunately, Skyline emulator has two flaws. It is just unoptimized, so it might have crashing issues or freezing issues while you are emulating few games. For that, make sure to always save your game. Anyways, that was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. In terms of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, it doesn't work on the Skyline emulator, so there is no use of testing this game. Let's move on towards our last game, which is going to be Pokemon Sword once again, and I have really high hopes from this. Unfortunately, I think I spoke too soon. The game has already frozen, so we'll need to restart the Skyline Edge emulator. Let's go back, let's open Pokemon Sword, and that's the good part about the Skyline Edge emulator. It's just super quick. And this time our game has successfully started, and you will be able to see we are getting about 150 FPS. And as you guys can see, the game is working properly at 150 FPS. So that's pretty cool. It does have some graphical issues though. Still, it is not that bad. We are getting almost 90 FPS, but unfortunately, as I mentioned before, there are just a lot of freezing issues when emulating games on the Skyline emulator, and the emulator is broken once again. And that's where the latest Nintendo Switch emulators like Sudachi etc. are better. Anyways, let's head outside to see the gameplay performance in outside world scenarios. And even in such demanding scenarios, I am noticing we are getting almost 50 to 60 FPS while emulating this game, which is still very amazing frame rates. And that's why guys, emulating games on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra is super fun. That's going to be it for today's video. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.